with that down and out of the way, let's move into this first topic here. And the first one has to do with the DC universe and the direction they're going now, the DCEU, whatever they want to call it now. I never knew why it got dubbed the DCEU when it was already DCU. Like it was always, that's just what it's been, DC universe. I don't understand who dubbed it that.
I'm assuming that was internal jargon that they were using to distinguish between the comic universe, which has been forever referred to as the DCU. So I'm assuming that in order to differentiate between the film universe and just the regular comic universe, to create a difference between those two, that they drop that E in there. But you're right, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah, because you'd think if anything it'd be like DCCU for DC Cinematic Universe, or DCFU, DC Film Universe,
DCFU,
or
which has its own connotation problems when you say it.
Yeah, but I heard too that like the DCEU part was somebody from Warner Brothers was like questioned on it at one point, and I can't remember if this was a legit article or not, but I feel like I'm remembering this in my head. But this person at least commented on and said that wasn't something they came up with. Like some writer or something like wrote an article and referred to it as that, and it just
stuck.
It went viral essentially. Everybody just like started calling it that. I just never thought it made any sense. DC Extended Universe, because it's not extended; it's the same universe.
Yeah,
like it's just the same thing.
Is what it is.
Yeah, but anyway, in regards to this, there was a kind of a Walter Hamada had an interview here, the new big man over at DC and Warner Brothers. He did an interview and he shared quite a bit of information in regards to where the DC film portion of the DC universe is going to be kind of moving forward, what their new roadmap is. And some of it's pretty ambitious, and which kind of is hesitant. And I'm hesitant with it in some ways, because if you remember, like, I don't know, for the past couple of years, it hasn't happened in the past couple of years, but like 4 or 5 years ago at Comic-Con, they announced this massive slate of like the Flash movie, and then a Cyborg movie, and then God, I can't remember, the Batgirl movie, I think, and just like a ton of stuff that does not happen. Like,
really.
Half the things they announced, and they had logos did up for all these things and everything. It was like, bam, here it is, and none of them have came to pass. Like, I don't think a single thing that was actually announced on that like list at Comic-Con has come out yet, and a lot of it's been straight up canned to begin with. Like Cyborg, they're not making a Cyborg movie. And then Ray Fisher just recently said that he's like done and he's not going to come and work for Warner Brothers anymore.
It's interesting you say that, because there was just an article today, I think maybe, where he lent his support to revive the DCEU. There's apparently a trending hashtag of revive DCEU or something, and he got behind. And so yeah, it's weird. He seems to be all over the place with what he's doing. Like, he hates Warner Brothers because of the way he was treated on Justice League, but he's all in on Zack Snyder's Justice League and doing reshoots and stuff. I don't really know what to make of his position within the company, but also just within the universe itself.
Yeah, it's definitely an odd form of like, not really marketing, because it's just some guy's opinion essentially, but like it's an interesting thing for someone to do in regards to like his employer in some ways.
Yeah, it's the weirdest employee-employer relationship ever. Like, on the one side, they're like best friends and he's all gung-ho about it when it's Zack Snyder's portion of it. But if it's anything else, it's like, I hate you, I don't want anything to do with you, and you guys are a terrible company. So it's a very strange.
Yeah,
still don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, and then like, because he even said too, if I'm remembering this quote correctly from him, he said that like Walter Hamada is like the worst kind of like executive or something. Like he literally like name dropped Hamada and called him out, and it's because he was like, he called him being like just very deceptive or something. Your cam froze, by the way, John.
He said something about Hamada asking for him to throw John's under the bus, or or something, or to like I don't know, to save Jeff Johns, to say like Jeff Johnson had do anything bad to him, as long as he would say that, as long as they would say that like Joss Whedon and somebody else were, I don't know. It was a big weird thing.
Just yeah, I don't know. They gotta get their stuff in order there. Like, their film division has been kind of a mess for quite a bit of time now. They
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
got it. So I'm hoping everything since Hamada has taken over, it's been more successful than it has not been. I don't know if it's necessarily been more successful than it was before, but it's at least if they were sinking, then they're at least they're steadying the
Treading
ship.
water.
Yeah, they're okay. I mean, a lot of Wonder Woman 84 was standing because that's like kind of going back to the old BVS and Man of Steel days where it's just divisive, you know, like half the people love it, half the people hate it. So it's kind of another one of those, but not to such extremes that
Yeah.
BVS and Man of Steel got. Like, I don't know. It's a weird situation. And I'd rather it go back to like, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Shazam. Everybody loved them, like for the most
Yeah.
part. Like, and they were all great. So we need to get back to there. Now Hamada in this interview has come out and said a couple things. Like one, um, they're pretty much saying that the Justice League Snyder cut is, I think it was referred to as a cul-de-sac. Like it's not a way forward.
Standalone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just like essentially kind of insinuating that there's not going to be anything more to come from it.
Yeah, it's just in its own little bubble, and
That's it.
Such a weird way to say it, though. I
It
mean,
is.
come on, why not just call it a dead end? I mean,
I know.
if when you say cul-de-sac, I mean, you could turn around in a cul-de-sac and come back out the way you went in.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
if this is truly the end, and they want to give the impression that this is the end of that, I almost feel like that word is intentional, in that, depending on the response to it, depending on what their streaming numbers, what they want to get out of it, and what their highest expectations are, if they start hitting those highest expectations, if they don't do something with Zack Snyder and ask him, because clearly there's people, Zack and people around him, that are interested in continuing this.
Oh yeah, and this thing with everybody, especially in this industry, I mean, money talks. So
Yeah.
they can say whatever they want, but if this thing
Yeah,
comes
this-
out and just blows the roof off, and HBO Max can turn their stuff around due to this thing,
Yeah.
it's not a cul-de-sac. They're building in an addition. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're gonna keep this thing going if it's gonna make them money, whether they like it or not.
True.
And money talks, but in this day and age, streaming money talks even louder. I mean, if
yeah.
you get streaming money going, then you're just you can kind of write your own checks wherever you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then too, the more ambitious portion of this whole article was the it was kind of teased upon. Hamada himself kind of commented on this during the DC Fandom event that they had, where they're going to be leaning into the DC multiverse, and he kind of expands on it here, and he just elaborates on it to say, in a fancy way, they're going to make standalone movies that are completely disconnected from everything else, like your Joker movie. They're going to continue doing that, but they're also going to be looking at things like replacing Ben Affleck's Batman character to continue Batman in that DCEU or whatever we're going to call it,
Yeah.
to continue the Justice League world, which was another odd thing because apparently it's a cul-de-sac.
You
But they're
just
also
called it,
gonna
yeah.
keep going and make other things within that continuity, so I don't know, but, like, it's kind of confusing in that regard,
It's
but
it's
Tree
very
branching
much
off.
yeah.
I don't know, yeah.
It's like they're splitting hairs. They're,
Well, I think it's the kinda thing where, again, it's like some things are successful within it, so they can't deny the fact that it's not this cul-de-sac. Because I mean, I think just, like, if they could just delete it and start fresh, they probably would. Like, if it wouldn't like, if they could keep everything they had, but then delete all the bad stuff, I mean, who wouldn't
Yeah,
want
who
to?
wouldn't do that?
Yeah, who wouldn't? But, because, like, Wonder Woman's a part of it, and Wonder Woman's been successful for him. Aquaman made him $1 billion. Like, they're already moving forward with the Flash movie they've been trying to make for 4 years now. So it's, like, not really a cul-de-sac if you're gonna keep building off of it. So that is kind of like I don't
I'll
know.
believe that.
Confusing.
I'll believe the Flash movie. They keep talking about the Flash movie and talking it up, but
Mhm.
until I see, a daily reel from the first day of shooting or some still photography or some promo shots from it, I'm still not buying that movie's ever getting made.
Yeah, I mean,
That
it's
movie has been,
been in production for
yeah,
so long.
Yeah, they've gone through like 4 writer directors. Like it's been a mess.
It's cursed.
Like it almost is like the Crow at this point. It's
Yeah.
becoming DC's Crow. Like
Ugh.
who funnily enough, the last person attached to the Crow was Aquaman himself. Like Jason Momoa was gonna be playing them,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that died, which I would have been kind of cool.
That would have
I
been
could
cool.
totally see him playing whatever his name. I can't even remember his name in the. It's like Jason something, right? I forget what his name is. I haven't seen The
Jason-
Crow in years.
Yeah, The Crow's a good movie.
Eric Draven was the
Eric Draven, that's who it is. Yeah, yeah. Because I knew it was something D, and I was like Jason. I don't know. Yeah, I love that first one though with Brandon Lee. That was good.
Yeah,
Stuff.
that was good.
It was a great movie. The other ones though, I mean, Edward Furlong came in at one point. It was on one of like the TV movie Crows. That was a weird franchise, man.
I don't care for Edward Furlong outside of Terminator.
Well, and American History X.
Oh,
he
in
was
American
good.
History X, he was good.
He was good in that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he
he
was.
good.
That's a good movie.
Yeah,
such a good movie.
yeah, that's a great movie, dude. But anyway, with this stuff though, they're looking at so the Justice League stuff. They're obviously still going to do what works. Is like we said, money talks, and they're making money on it, so they're going to try to keep it going. Which explains why, in some way, like they're going to bring in a new actor to replace Ben Affleck, which I thought was interesting because it goes on to say that he's set to appear in the Flash movie, which even though this thing is cursed, the announcements that were made from it, the direction it seems to be going, does have me excited for it. So I do hope that movie is made because there's a lot of stuff they could do
It's
in
got
there.
potential.
I almost feel like they have to do it in some ways because they're wanting to do this multiverse thing. And that's a real easy way to introduce the general audience into it in a 2-hour movie. Just kind of ease them all in. Like even if like that's the only Flash movie they do, it'd probably be worth it for them to be able to just kind of literally spell it out for everybody that this is what's happening now.
Yeah.
So, but that movie is bringing Ben Affleck back as Batman. So I want that movie to be made, and it's also supposedly bringing Michael Keaton back as Batman. So I'm sure
That would be so cool.
yeah, there's other people out there who want to see it just because of those 2 reasons. Me being one of them. Because with Keaton coming back, like I said, man, that opens the doors for them to do Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton. So since that's there, I want the movie to be made just so that door is open. But now they're going to be looking at Hamada goes on to say that everything that they make with HBO Max being what direct to consumer in general for all these studios now being their big future game plan, if you will. They're looking at all their titles, like any of them that they're making. They're actually assessing everything and saying, okay, great, we're going to make this Joker movie. What can we do with HBO Max with it? Is there anything that we can do on HBO to piggyback off of this? And we already are seeing that with the Robert Pattinson Batman film because it was already announced they're going to be making the Gotham PD like prequel.
Oh yeah,
existing within the Robert Pattinson Batman world. So I do like that they're actually trying to plan stuff out in some ways like that. That's reassuring to me, just because obviously, like we've been kind of just saying here for the last 20 minutes, it's kind of a mess. And even when you are quoting people within their own company, it's confusing. Like because they're saying things, but then saying very contradictory things. And but this at least is a good plan and makes sense. And this was something that. Pretty much what I said that they should do, and I don't understand why Warner Brothers wasn't doing this. When they came out and said they're going to release all their movies, the Warner Brothers movies, straight on HBO Max in 2021, and didn't tell anybody and all this stuff, it speaks to them being, being a mess there for one. But it's like they have this built-in, this easy way of marketing HBO Max by just saying that all their movies are going to be exclusive to HBO Max. They don't have to like pull them out of theaters and only do them on HBO Max. Like, you can let them do their theatrical run and then say exclusively on HBO Max, like
Yeah.
once they're out of theaters. And it's just like HBO Max in it of itself is its own built-in marketing if you do it right. And kind of with that, using your already existing properties to further market your product by building in exclusive content off of it is just that's what they should be doing. That's what Marvel's doing with Disney Plus. Like they have the MCU stuff and they're looking at everything they can do to continue expanding on it on Disney Plus. And that's why, I mean, that sounds good. I like that they're doing that with the DC titles and HBO Max. It makes sense. So I'm just glad to hear some form of, I don't know, common sense thought come from them. That's not
My, I'm very reserved. I've been reserved on everything. The only thing I would not be reserved on when it came to DC EU news is if they were to say they've signed Henry Cavill to play Superman in a Man of Steel sequel. That would be the only news where I'd be all in and be like, I don't care what they do with this. This is going to be the best thing ever, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
100%.
Everything they announced now, though, I'm just like, even this announcement, like you said, on the surface, it sounds really good. It sounds like they've kind of put some common sense behind what they're doing. Yes, let's tie into HBO Max. Let's support that platform because it's integral to our success. But when you look at it, they're talking. Hamada said they are looking to do 4 feature films a year that release to theaters, 2 films that are direct to HBO Max, and then in addition also have tie-in series to film properties that go to HBO Max. That is a hugely ambitious project or prospect for a company that has been able to get out less than half a dozen, maybe a half a dozen superhero films in the past half decade, 6 years. I mean, Marvel, you look at the content that Marvel's been able to put out, and you've got dozens of films that have come out. DC has barely managed to scrape by, 6, I think, films over the past half decade or even 6-7 years, and the films that they have come out have varied greatly in quality. So
Mhm.
I'm really worried that this is a quantity over quality prospect, or that they just don't hit it, that they're promising something that they just can't deliver on. I mean, we just got done talking about how long the Flash has been in development hell. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I am, because I love DC. It's my superhero universe as much as I love Marvel, and but if I have to rank them, DC is above Marvel for me, just because I grew up with Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and Super Friends cartoon show.
I remember that.
That's where I got that's where my roots are in comics. And
Well,
so
they got a lot to live up to, like with
They
the Marvel
do.
Cinematic Universe. So DC's they got some work to do.
Oh yeah.
They do, and I hope that they can get the ship right in. I hope that this all comes, but man, until they give me reason to believe, I have a hard time with all these announcements.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's one of the crazy things that you bring up the Henry Cavill situation. Like, there's a lot of people out there, me one of them, who's just like, how are we getting a Wonder Woman 3 without a Man of Steel 2?
Yeah,
Man of Steel launched this whole thing, and we still haven't got a Man of Steel 2. And I mean, the answer is simple, because if you go back to what I said before, money talks. And Wonder Woman came out and was not divisive. It was unanimously liked by critics and audiences, and it made $800 to $900 million. But then you have Man of Steel come out, was split down the middle with love and hate between audience and critics, and it only made about 600 million or something.
yeah.
So,
But here's the. Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
oh no, I want Henry Cavill back as Superman. Like, that's what I
Here's
want. Damn movie's a masterpiece.
He's made for that role.
Here's the thing about that, though. Wonder Woman had the benefit, and Aquaman too had the benefit of appearing in Batman versus Superman, even to a small extent, and establishing the tone and the feel of what the DCEU is, a more realistic, a grittier kind of look at superheroes. When Man of Steel came out, the last Superman movie we had before Man of Steel was Christopher Reeve's Superman 4: Quest for Peace, I think.
No,
No,
Superman Returns.
Superman Returns. You're right. I'm sorry.
Everybody
Brandon Routh.
forgets about that movie.
I tried to block it out,
Yeah.
maybe.
I love the
but that was-
scene though with there's that one shot with it was in the trailers, and he's standing in front of the gunman, and he's got the gun pointed right to his face, and then a slow motion
Yeah,
shot
the
with the
bullet.
eye. That's a great shot. Like,
Beautiful piece
good.
of cinematography.
That's
yeah,
good.
that was,
That's good. Otherwise, though, the movie sucks. But unfortunately,
Superman with a kid that's his, possibly, that he abandoned, and just some really, and Kevin Spacey just
he was
destroying
in a
scenes
movie, he was like Rita Repulsa in that Power Rangers movie, like that just came out. It's like they're making like a very grounded thing here, and this dude is, literally the animated, like more animated than animated Lex Luthor.
Yeah,
sure.
Like, yeah.
But even that movie, Superman is still kind of the shucks farm boy that's trapped in the big city, and Man of Steel was something so completely different, and not different in a bad way, in my opinion, a lot of people's opinions. But it was so drastically different from what audiences knew before. Wonder Woman and Aquaman both had the benefit of having that tone and that shift at least presented to audiences before they had to have their own film come out. So it's not surprising to me that Man of Steel released to some discrepancies in audience and critical reviews. But now that tone has been established and people understand kind of what they're going for, I think that it's primed to do much better at the box office.
I agree, because I mean everything going forward, and I think too, like, and I told you this, like, I said to you maybe a month or two ago, like just off camera, we were just talking, like it still baffles me how like Warner Brothers has been able to, has not been able to make any sort of success, like, like unanimous success, we'll say, with the DC properties, like kind of since even like if you go back to '89 Batman, everyone loved Batman, but then not a lot of people liked Batman Returns. It was very divisive, and it just is always not as divisive as the current climate, but this was a time before Twitter and stuff, so it probably was. You just didn't hear it. But it's always baffled me as how Warner Brothers has been able to squander like the most popular superhero characters in the world in Batman, the Justice League in general, and then Marvel has been able to make 20 movies, all averaging $1 billion with the B team. They didn't even have X-Men. They didn't have Fantastic Four. They had the Avengers, and you all think the Avengers are cool and stuff, but that was like the C Squad in the comics, dude. Nobody cared about Iron Man. Like,
they canceled the Avengers at one point and gave all the characters over to Image Comics to retool because they couldn't figure out a way to get them to sell. But that's a great point about the DC movies. Beyond the Dark Knight series, you look at every DC series so far has had a diminishing return. The first movie can do gangbusters, and the second one does okay, and then by the third one, they're just kind of falling off a cliff. They haven't done what Marvel does, and have just build and continually put out quality and increase that quality over time. It's amazing how poorly they've managed those superheroes.
Yeah. And it like you said, they can knock it out of the park here and there. Like Dark Knight, I mean Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, amazing. And then like Batman '89, great.
Yeah.
But then it's like every other movie at best is good, and it's like, but even so, even when you have those ones that are even like moderately successful, like they're still divisive in some way. Like they're not like the home runs that
The Dark Knight is.
The Dark Knight is, because it's like Man of Steel is like, it's a masterpiece of a movie, man. I love Man of Steel. Like, it's just amazing movie. Superman aside, like if you just watch it as like a First Contact alien movie, like it's just a great movie with great imagery. It's awesome, and but it's like it's just somehow was divisive. Like I don't know. It's just crazy. It's crazy to me. And then Batman vs Superman, literally the two most popular superhero pop culture characters, like arguably in existence. That movie should have made billions upon billions of dollars without even trying. And it barely came up with like 800 million. It's just like
People were expecting a lot with that too. Like I remember when that dropped, just the idea of it, where they announced it, how much you freaked out.
oh yeah, I
Just like,
did.
holy shit.
I was fanboying hard for it.
Yeah.
Like, but it just, and even I can find enjoyment in it, but even I mean, as biased as I may be, I know the thing has problems. I know it didn't live up to what it should be.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause I mean, the fans a lot of time, man, we're very fickle and we're very critical over things. And it's like I know a lot of people think that, like, as a fan, like you have what you think these characters should do, and I think
That's
this
what
is
I
one
was
of the
gonna say.
biggest problems with like Superman, and it's kind of like what you were getting at too. Like, Christopher Reeve Superman and all this stuff. It's like the happy-go-lucky save a kitten from a tree Boy Scout dude, and everyone has that picture of their Superman in their head. So when they don't get that, they're just turned
They don't
off
like
by
it,
it.
yeah.
They don't want to accept it for what it is. They're deliberately rejecting it because of what it's not. And I can't really fault anybody for doing that, but I don't know. It's a shame that it happens on such a huge scale because like you miss out on a lot of good stuff. And
Yeah.
it's also the same goes for them making like the movie. Like they try to do something too drastically different or not true to a character and then expect it to be a success. Like it's not really going to work that way either. But I don't know. It's finicky, but I just hope they get it all in order. And for God's sake, we need a Man of Steel too. Like if they do nothing, like that's the other thing. They had all these announcements, no Man of Steel 2 information. Like
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
this stuff. We're gonna make 4 movies a year, 2 movies on HBO Max, spin-off series for everything, but just
And you
We're
can't
getting a Man
find
of
the
Steel.
time or money or effort to put behind a Man of Steel 2. I mean, come on.
especially now that Henry Cavill is popping off with like fans and stuff. Because I think a lot of people would say that like Henry Cavill is great as Superman, even if they don't like those movies he's in.
Yeah.
And even so now, like Henry Cavill is in other movies that are like unanimously successful. He's like Mission Impossible. He's headlining The Witcher.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
so it's not a problem of people not liking Henry Cavill. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think anybody dislikes Henry Cavill. They might not like the way Superman was written, but I think for the most part, everybody likes Henry in the role. So, I mean, the rumor does have it that J.J. Abrams is supposedly working on a Superman movie and is planning on bringing Henry Cavill back, but nothing is confirmed. There's just whispers about it, and I don't know.
J.J. Abrams.
Yeah,
That's
so I'm on the fence about it just because of I don't want to hold Rise of Skywalker against him, but he did make the movie, so I got to hold him responsible for something. But I'm not the biggest fan nor like hater of. I'm very neutral on J.J. Abrams. He can make some enjoyable stuff, and he can also kind of drop the ball on some stuff too. So he does make beautiful films though. Because if anything, I can say, Rise of Skywalker is a great movie to watch on mute.
yeah.
Like,
Visually, it's great.
it looks stunning, kind of like Zack Snyder. He is a very similar. He is a very good like visual storyteller. He has amazing imagery in all his movies. Some of them don't have the best dialogue or aren't the very like Sucker Punch kind of thing. Like not really a good movie, but it looks great.
Visually, it looked awesome.
Yeah, but it looks amazing. So I just hope they get their stuff in order. Because like I said, they got the best. I mean, it is subjective opinion, but like in my opinion, I mean, like you said, DC characters are those are my superheroes. You know, what I mean, like that's what I resonate with. Like,
Yeah.
and I love the Marvel stuff. I love all stuff.
You've always liked DC way more.
Yeah, I've always been a DC fan. Like Batman's my dude, and then I mean Spider-Man's my other dude, and that's over on Marvel side. But those are my 2 dudes.
Spider-Man's a good guy.
Spider-Man, okay, he's a good little fella. I think that pretty much covers everything with this, though. I mean, the only other thing is like they go on to say, like that cul-de-sac quotes down here. I mean, I'm still looking forward to the Snyder cut. Like, I hope that turns out good. In some ways, I hope it's a major success because I would like to see it go on. And just like I really want to see this Man of Steel 2, like if we could get that Ben Affleck solo Batman movie, like him fighting Deathstroke on HBO Max or something, like
That'd be sick.
let's do that.
That would be sick.
Like, or like do a 4-part miniseries, and they can do the backstory of Joker killing Robin, and then do the Deathstroke stuff, and then he can retire. Like, good. to it.
You realize we're only what, a week and a half, 2 weeks away from WandaVision, and then by the
Yeah,
time that might be ending right around the same time that Zack Snyder's Justice League premieres, because he mentioned that there's the rumors out there, and he even said something about it
yeah.
premiering in March. So we could be right on the verge of having a good stretch of 2 to 3 months of pretty big superhero content being released.
Yeah, for sure, because WandaVision's like the 15th, right? And then they did say March. I don't know what day. I don't know if it's beginning of March or end of March, but I can't remember WandaVision's 6 or 8 episodes. So I mean, it's
Hmm.
still 1 to 2. Either way, about a month and a half or 2 months. So yeah, we'll be close. Right after WandaVision, we can roll right into that. So for sure.
And then after that, we can roll into Falcon and Winter Soldier, and we can have an entire year's worth of superhero content if we can figure out
Yeah.
a way to just line those dominoes up right
Well, the
and
Black Widow.
make up, yep, make
Yeah.
up for 2020.
Yeah, for sure. If anything, that could, as long as everything can roll out on schedule, like on the new schedule for 2021, it will be pretty. I don't think we'll be starving for content.
No, it'll be
Like
stacked.
in a world where literally this year we only had like Bloodshot. What else was a comic? Birds of Prey. Um,
Right.
what else was there? There was only like 4 or 5. Like, I don't even remember what they were. Like, so obviously there weren't any
Yeah.
standout. Oh, Wonder Woman. Um,
Oh,
it was
that's
a
right. We are counting that as
yeah,
2020. Yeah.
very lackluster year of comic book movies. Like TV popped off though. We
Oh
had The
yeah,
Boys. We had Doom Patrol. We had
Mandalorian, Doom
Mandalorian. Yeah.
Patrol.
Mandalorian. We had Umbrella Academy. There was good stuff on
Mhm.
TV, but in the movies, the movie comic book superhero department, like it was hurting without them Marvel movies. It
Yep.
was not a whole lot going on. But guys, well, what do you think? Well, that's the question here. What do you think about all of these, all these comments made by Walter Ramada, and what do you think that their plans here, DC's plans that they have going forward here, is a little bit too ambitious? Are you looking forward to them nonetheless, at least to see which ones actually stick? They did go on to say real quick before I forget, they're going to be looking at like smaller characters to put on like the HBO Max ones, and they referenced like Batgirl and Static Shock as being a couple of those potential maybe straight to HBO Max movies and things like that, which I would like to see them actually branch out and do some of those more obscure ones. And I'd say HBO Max is a pretty good place to put it, but I mean, either way, I'm excited for them to actually have some sort of game plan. My only fear, kind of like John was saying too, is that it's just a little bit ambitious, and we were kind of scorned by them a couple years ago at Comic-Con when they had that massive slate of all their future movies coming out, and none of them came to pass. So I'm just hoping that's not the case here, but only time will tell. But let us know what you guys think about that down in the comment section below.